Hey, everybody. Thank you guys once again, or guys and girls, if they're there, for being a part of today's call. And I just want to thank everybody once again. I said it before, but I really feel like these are a really cool way for us to connect on everything that's going on sort of in the world of the Performance Center and developmental and NXT, certainly. So, and in this case today, I'm sure there'll be some questions about the Cruiserweight Classic. So thank you for that. We have a lot of international media on the call today, which I'm very excited about. So thank you guys for joining. It's going to be a busy week, as usual. This Wednesday's Takeover live, 8 p.m. on the WWE Network, 7:30 for the pre-show. It's going to be an unbelievable card, I feel, and I'm really excited about it. To see the debut of Andrade Cien Almas is very exciting, going against one of the kind of the foundation guys. I feel like just such a solid performer in Ty Dillinger, and I feel like as Ty continues to evolve, I think you'll see great things from him in the future. But very, very exciting to see Almas and his debut in NXT, and really excited to see what he can do. I feel like he's going to be a very big player in the next few years in the WWE landscape. You have the NXT Tag Team titles, which to me, one of the hottest rivalries that there has been in the tag team division, period, in tag team, whether you're talking WWE or NXT, the American Alphas versus Revival, just two classic sort of tag teams, but with totally different styles, and I'm a big believer in kind of styles make rivalries, and I think this one is no different. I think these guys are going to do what they have done before, which is just continue to make tag team wrestling bigger and bigger and bigger. From there, you have a match that I'm really looking forward to, which is Austin Aries versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I think for a lot of fans around the world, this has been a match that they probably thought about many times over the years, and I'm really excited that we can finally deliver it to them. Aries making an impact, and I think as he continues to move forward is going to continue to grow on that impact. I think maybe a lot of guys came in all at the same time, and I think Aries' frustration of kind of getting caught in that whirlwind of all these people coming in has boiled over here. And Nakamura just, what do you say? Nakamura is Nakamura, and when you talk about key players to me in the future of WWE all over, it's guys like Nakamura. From there, Asuka, one of the most dominant, or probably the most dominant female champions, women's champions we've had in NXT, period, going up against probably the most unique competitor in the women's division in Nia Jax. She will say that there is nobody like her, and that is a fact. This is going to be one that I cannot wait to see, as I just feel like, again, styles making fights. This is going to be one of those ones that is going to be really, really interesting to see how it unfolds. And Samoa Joe versus Finn Balor. When you talk about rivalries, to be able to carry something 7 months, to be able to have that rivalry go that long, keep it fresh and interesting, and that's a testament to the two talent. We talked about there's been a lot of talk, and I'm sure somebody will ask about it on here, about the name of this takeover, The End. It has a lot of meanings, and I think you'll see that tomorrow as well. But when Samoa Joe and Finn Balor step into the ring for the first time in NXT history inside of a steel cage, I think you can expect it to be the end. From there, from NXT, we're going to do some TV Thursday night, and then everybody's going to head over to the UK, including myself, for the Download Festival, which is one of the biggest music festivals in the world. And then we're going to continue to hit the UK for the kind of other side, so to speak, of the UK that we didn't finish hitting up the first time. We have June 13th in Belfast, June 14th in Dublin, Ireland, June 15th in Liverpool, June 16th in Bournemouth, and June 17th in Plymouth. If you haven't seen NXT Live, you can go online, you can look at the social media chatter. I would highly recommend you do it. I feel like there is no better show, no experience like it. NXT brings something totally different to the table and brings an energy that few things can deliver. At the end of the month, we have the Cruiserweight Classic starting up. We have 32 of the best cruiserweights from around the world coming into Orlando to compete in what I feel will be one of the premier or the premier cruiserweight tournament ever, and find out who the best in the world is in the under 205-pound division. When you bring in some of the names that we're going to be bringing in, I think this is going to be just an unbelievable opportunity over 10 weeks to see some amazing, amazing performers. And we'll be having some announcements of who those performers will be coming up. There's going to be a lot of surprises. This show will be something, I believe, something like you have never seen come out of the WWE or NXT, even in the way it's presented, the commentary team, all of it. It's going to be something totally different, and I'm really, really excited about it. So with that in mind, I will open it up to questions and look forward to seeing who's first on the list today.
Guys, if we can keep it to one question and one follow-up question, that would be great. Thanks.
And it is *1 if you'd like to ask a question. Please make sure your mute function is turned off to allow your signal to reach our equipment. Again, that's *1 for questions. We'll go first to Brian Fritz with Sporting News.
Hey, Paul, how are you doing today? Good. Well, obviously the brand split's coming up on July 19th. Do you think the NXT roster is going to look a lot different after that happens?
Yeah. Do I think yes? Do I know? No. I think it will. I think there's a lot of talent. There will be a lot of talent needs for both rosters with the brand extension. But, some people, and I read comments that some people make about the potential to have that drain NXT and I've said this before, some people feel like that's a negative. It's going to take away all the talent from NXT. I feel like it's one of the strengths of NXT. It is the kind of it's kind of the secret sauce in a way. Just when you start thinking this is what we have, all of a sudden the landscape changes, and that's the challenge for us, is to rise to the occasion. It's the challenge for the talent to rise to the occasion. NXT to me is all about opportunity, and it's what keeps the brand fresh. Is you have all these young, hungry talent that whether they've been in the game for a while or whether they're new to it are just they're striving and just scratching and clawing to make their way and to make an impact. And this is another opportunity. If the brand extension heavily relies on NXT talent moving up and going to Raw or SmackDown, then it opens up a new opportunity for a lot of talent to thrive, and I look forward to that challenge.
My follow-up to that would be, how aggressive are you in the company right now when it comes to acquiring talent, even more so than you usually are?
I wouldn't say any more aggressive. I look around the globe and I look to see guys and girls that I feel like are talented performers that have an opportunity to grow and evolve if they come to us and become even bigger. And if the timing is right for them, then I'm always aggressive at acquiring great talent or what I feel have the potential to be great talent. So I don't think it's any more of a step up. I just think it appears that way because there's a lot more opportunities on the table. But, we're doing what we do, creating talent at the level of guys just walking through the door, and then working with talent that have been out there and doing it on their own. To me, talent is talent, and I don't care where they come from.
Thanks for the time. Always appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian.
I kind of want to follow up on something that Brian talked about. With the impending brand split, how is that going to affect NXT from an internal standpoint? Are we going to look at people who are working as agents and coaches possibly being pulled up to work on Raw and SmackDown? And how do you, if that's the case, how do you hope to kind of replenish that? Because I'm assuming with two unique touring brands and two unique TV shows, there's going to kind of be a split in the staffing as well.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing, Mike, is it doesn't really change wholesale on sort of the behind the scenes from that standpoint, being that we've always had two touring brands. We've always had, depending on how you want to look at it, two different tours running at the same time. Now, whether that changes to, I'm unsure of how that changes fully, whether that changes to just a Raw touring brand and a SmackDown touring brand. I'm not 100% sure on that. But either way, the amount of behind-the-scenes staff is kind of the same. That being said, NXT and the Performance Center, it's part of what we do is we don't just create in-ring talent. We create, road agents. We create production people. We create directors and editors, and we're trying to create that next level of WWE at all times, and find those aces and long-term players for us on every level of what we do. So does this create opportunity? Yeah, although I don't know that behind the scenes it creates as much as one would think, because in some ways the touring aspect of it changes slightly in number of days and number of events on the road slightly, but for the most part it's very similar.
And then I guess my follow-up question to it is, all that we just talked about, how is any of that going to change the NXT touring plans? Because obviously with the brand split, there's likely going to be additional talents brought up to the main roster. You talked about fresh talents and the landscape always changing, but NXT is kind of serving two masters now. It's not just developmental, it's also a third brand for the company that's now expected to fill buildings that are smaller than Raw and SmackDown, but still buildings that you guys are touring on a regular basis. How is the brand split going to affect the NXT touring, and is it possible maybe we'll see some of these cruiserweight talents brought in as kind of supplementary talent for the NXT tours?
Yeah, look, I think that is the juggle of all of it, right? Is having Raw be as big as possible, SmackDown be as big as possible, NXT be as big as possible, and where do people sit, and how does that all work? I can say this, when we talk about if there are people moving up and people leaving NXT, I've got, not all of them ready, but I've got 70, 80 people down here in the Performance Center chomping at the bit to get the opportunity to go and perform, whether that's here in Florida, where I think our fan base in Florida becomes very excited about seeing somebody that's never been seen before, or that they're seeing kind of, they're proud to be the fan base that gets to see the talent before they ever become a name, so that they have bragging rights to everybody else to be able to say, yeah, well, I was a fan of his before he made it. And I think that's kind of the excitement of here. On the road, to me, it's all about creating stars and storylines, and that's what we're trying to do down here, create the best product we can. And as long as we can do that, then I'm not worried about it at all. I think we'll continue to deliver to the level that NXT fans are expecting us to deliver, and one way or the other, I'll make sure of that. There isn't a question of can we or should we. It's just we have to do it. So I'm excited about that opportunity. I'm excited for the talent to have new opportunities for themselves, and then I'm excited about the talent that are down here, that are going to stay down here in NXT, to be able to, it's a lot of pressure to have that weight put on you, and there is pressure now, right? It's now pressure to be touring on the road and all those things, and to be able to continue to deliver. So I usually find when you put that pressure on people, they succeed and they exceed your expectations. I think that will be the case here.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, man.
And we'll take our next question from Patrick Lennon with the Daily Star.
Hello, Paul. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Very good. Well, it's a great day for British wrestling. We've just had the youngest ever winner of the Best of Super Juniors over in New Japan, Mr. Will Ospreay, demonstrating how much talent there is in the UK at the moment. How much do you focus on the UK and one particular area when it comes to NXT and I suppose by extension recruiting talent for the Cruiserweight Classic?
So, you know, look, is the UK a massive talent pool for us? Absolutely. But I kind of don't look at it and go like, we should focus on the UK for a little bit. To me, it's much more of a global look. That global look is everywhere, you know, and that's whether it's Mexico, Canada, the UK, Australia, it doesn't matter. And to me, talent is talent. And I understand the kind of the UK pride of that, or the Irish pride of that, or the Australian pride of that, or where they come from. But I just clearly, to me, it doesn't matter. I just clearly look at them and go, all right, so that person is very talented, and I want to work with them because I think they have a future, and I think they can become a big star. So that's really the look. You know, there is a tremendous amount of talent coming out of the UK right now, and I'm very excited to work with a lot of them. You know, and that includes guys like Noam Dar and Zack Sabre Jr. in the Cruiserweight Classic, and you know, really excited about those opportunities for them. And there's a lot of talent out there, and you know, some of them we'll work with now, some of them will let continue to do what they're doing, and when the time is right for them, hopefully we can make things work out and they can come here. But it's an exciting time to me for everybody in the business.
Well, my follow-up to that, Paul, would be that we had another great Brit on the phone last week. We were very lucky to speak to William Regal, and he said that he considers the Cruiserweight division, if you will, to be the place where the best wrestlers in the world are currently operating. Do you agree with him?
I think it's, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say where the best in the world are right now and what they're doing. There's a lot of different styles, and yeah, I think there's some phenomenal talent there. What I love that is happening kind of in the cruiserweights is there was a period of time where the word cruiserweight or any of that stuff just kind of applied to guys that did a lot of high-risk aerial styles, and that has changed. You know, you see guys that are very, very technically gifted mat-based wrestlers that don't really go to the air at all, and you see them coming out of the cruisers as well. I mean, it's an exciting just kind of shift in how that is seen, and I've watched that take place over the last few years, and it's very exciting to me because it goes from just being a sort of a car crash style, so to speak, to being based in a better long-term product, in my opinion, of storytelling and the right. No, I don't want to say the right, but look, you after a while when you see all that acrobatic stuff, it becomes if you watch just the 3-hour kind of aerial extravaganza, you begin to lose the wow factor. You become desensitized to it. And I think having that variety is great. I think the cruiserweights are untapped? Absolutely, to a degree, and that's why you see the Cruiserweight Classic happening.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for having me on today.
Thank you very much.
Canadian questions for you here. Up in Canada, the last couple of months there have been a couple of big NXT appearances, debuts with Eric Young and Bobby Roode. Thoughts on those guys or an update on their contract status at all?
Thoughts on them? I think they're both very talented guys. As far as their contract status, we're working things out with both, and hopefully it works out. I'm very excited about the opportunity if we can work things out to work with both guys. You know, I would say stay tuned. They're both very talented guys, and I look forward to working with them.
And of course, this may be another stay tuned question, but is the NXT in Canada a possibility in 2016?
As far as touring?
Yes.
Yeah, the hardest thing for us, and it's funny because, I see a lot of people saying, well, why don't you come here? Why don't you go there? And we're working on everywhere. Trust me, it's a matter of routing. And, when you look at the WWE landscape and you say you have Raw and you have SmackDown and now you have NXT, and NXT will do somewhere in the ballpark this year of 180 to 190 events, just NXT alone. When you add that into the probably 300 plus touring events of Raw and SmackDown, you're in the 500 event a year ballpark. I don't know of any other touring entity on the planet that does that. I don't know of anybody else remotely that does that. And there's a lot of factors involved as to where you go and the routing of that and how that works and how our deals work in various places to make sure that we're not kind of going in there and even cannibalizing ourselves, and making sure it all works. So it's a kind of a work in progress. And as we, NXT is the expansion hasn't been here that long. At WrestleMania, I was making mention that it had only been a year that we've been on the road touring at that point in time outside of Florida. So we're a little past a year and a few months. We're still trying to get to what all of that routing looks like. And, now when you factor in the changes of the brand extension and how that's going to change things a little bit, it just throws a little bit of a monkey wrench into exactly where and how you go. We're trying to figure that out still.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
We'll take our next question from Jason Powell with ProWrestling.net.
Hey, Paul, can you provide an update on Hideo Itami? It's been quite a while. It seems like he's way beyond his recovery period.
Yeah, so, Hideo, without getting into his medical, his personal medical stuff, which I would need him to do, but he has put out a statement recently saying, see you soon. He had, he just sometimes, look, when you have surgery and you're an athlete, there's guidelines and there is, hey, it looks like you should be back in this period of time. But that's a best case scenario or what they're hoping for scenario. Sometimes you have situations like a John Cena where they tell you 9 months and 5 months later, because you're a mutant, whatever, you come back in 5. Other times guys hit it pretty accurately because, let's face it, orthopedics are very good at what they do. They're very good at predicting return times and all of that. But it depends on what happens along the way. Hideo had some issue with scar tissue along the way and some mobility issues. And, when he returns, I want him to be a healthy return and a full return, not a almost kind of was ready return. So I would rather see him take his time and be a few months longer than we anticipated. But when it's right, he'll be back. And, nothing has changed for me with Hideo as far as how I feel about him as a performer. I'm very excited for him to come back, and I think he's another guy that can make a big difference.
My second question, I don't know if it's been reported or if it's more speculation-based, but is there any consideration being given to doing a women's tournament similar to the one you're doing for the Cruiserweights?
So it's funny how things happen in the industry. I had just kind of started throwing around. We have a lot on the table, and I had just started throwing out conceptual ideas about that, and very much like things in our business, secrets don't stay secrets long, and within probably a month, I started seeing that buzzed about. Would I like to do that maybe if the timing is right? Sure. It's a great way for us to look and evaluate talent and give opportunity to young up-and-coming talent that are very hungry, an opportunity to be seen on a national or global level and do what they do. Is that on the table? Yeah, there's a lot of things on the table. I can tell you that right now. And so The funny thing is, though, much like everything else on the internet, it sort of, there's a mention and then it takes a life of its own. And immediately after that hit the internet, we started getting all these people calling us and saying, well, we're not going to take any bookings because this is going to happen. Like, oh, hold on a second. It's, there's a lot of things on the table. I don't want anybody to change how they work or do business or, make their livings. And when we have a feeling for what we want to do, we will put out a statement about it, or we will start to contact people. And, I applaud the speculation. I applaud the conversation. It's part of a lot of ways what fuels the business right now. Takeover the End being an example. They take on a life of their own and they just grow, and it's kind of part of what you do. You throw something out there and you let it see how it takes on that life of its own, and then you go with it. But I don't want people to change their daily lives or their careers based on that until we make statements.
Well, thanks for the time and looking forward to the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate the time on the call. One thing before we hang up that I just kind of wanted to mention is just with the passing of Muhammad Ali, it just, because it for me in some ways was like a personal hero, and I just think his impact in the world is massive. His impact on boxing, obviously, second to none. But just also on what we do, on just the personality and the character and the charisma and all those things that he self-admittedly sort of borrowed or was inspired by guys like Gorgeous George, and then took to a whole nother level, and then he then created and grew even bigger and inspired others. And that's an awesome thing. So it just felt like, for me, his passing was a massive thing in our industry as well. He was such a fan. He was so integral over the years in a lot of things that we did. And I just wanted to bring it up because I feel like he's somebody that, even though he wasn't, a part of our business on a day-to-day basis, was such a massive influence on it that I hope his kind of impact on us is never forgotten in the WWE landscape or in the sports entertainment world. With that, thank you guys very much. I look forward to tomorrow night while these amazing NXT talent kind of raise the bar again. I look forward to the end of the month, and hopefully you guys will all be a massive part of helping us get this out here, but this Cruiserweight Classic and really kind of changing the landscape for all of that. And whatever comes down the line in the future from there, as you just noticed, also wasn't quite the end. Everybody was speculating about we will be at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn leading into SummerSlam, so very excited about that as well.